You know, there's a metal out there that sounds like it was pulled straight from science fiction. I mean, a substance so strong, so light, and just so versatile that people literally called it a miracle metal. But this isn't science fiction at all. It's all around us, and it's quietly shaped some of the most advanced technology we've ever created.
Just think for a second about the incredible forces at play in supersonic flight. The insane heat, the stress, the raw power you need. Well, this metal can handle all of it. It forms the actual backbone of legendary aircraft like the SR-71 Blackbird. Its unique mix of strength and lightness completely rewrote the rulebook for what was even possible in the sky.
But get this, here's the really wild part. This same industrial powerhouse, tough enough for a high-altitude spy plane, is also so gentle and compatible with our own bodies that doctors use it to literally mend us. We're talking hip replacements, dental implants, plates that hold our bones together while they heal.
So what is this stuff? It's titanium. And for more than 100 years after it was discovered, it was basically a ghost. A tantalizing promise trapped inside its own ore that scientists just could not figure out how to unlock. So let's dive into the story of how this titan was finally set free.
Okay, so our story doesn't start in some futuristic lab. Nope, it begins with some mysterious black sand on an English beach way back in the late 18th century.
And let me tell you, the journey from that sand to a supersonic jet was incredibly long. It all kicked off in 1791 when an amateur mineralogist named William Gregor found a new element. Then, in 1795, the German chemist Martin Klaproth gave it its epic name, titanium, after the powerful titans from Greek mythology. But it took another whole century, until 1910, for a guy named Matthew Hunter to produce the first tiny, 99.9% pure sample. And it wasn't really ready for the world until the 1940s. So you gotta ask, what took so long?
This quote from an engineer really gets right to the heart of the problem. Titanium is, well, it's incredibly reactive. It bonds so fiercely with pretty much anything, especially oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon, that just getting it to exist by itself as a pure metal was a massive challenge. Even the tiniest impurity made it brittle and totally useless.
I mean, think about that. For over 100 years, scientists knew this element with unbelievable potential was in there, but its own chemical personality kept it completely locked away. This intense desire to bond with everything was the very thing that kept it imprisoned.
The big breakthrough finally came from a brilliant and, frankly, very determined metallurgist from Luxembourg. He was the one who figured out how to tame the Titan, and in doing so, he pretty much unleashed a whole new age of materials.
This is William J. Kroll. Working in his own private lab back in the 1930s, he developed this radical new method. When World War II broke out, he had to flee Europe, and he brought his secret with him to the United States. His technique, which we now call the Kroll Process, became the foundation for the entire titanium industry. And what's really unbelievable? It's still the main way we make titanium today.
So how did he do it? How do you force one of the most reactive elements in nature to finally just be alone? The Kroll process is this fascinating, almost brute force journey from refined ore to a solid piece of metal.
Okay, so first, the process starts by heating titanium ore with chlorine and carbon. This creates a liquid called titanium tetrachloride. Now here comes the genius part. This liquid gets mixed into a reactor with molten magnesium. And because magnesium is even more reactive than titanium, it basically bullies its way in and steals the chlorine atoms away, leaving the titanium atoms all by themselves for the very first time.
But the pure metal that comes out of that reactor, it isn't some shiny, solid block. It's this weird, porous mass that they call titanium sponge. This sponge then has to be crushed up, pressed, and melted down, often multiple times inside a vacuum to make sure no oxygen gets back in, before you get that final, high-quality ingot of metal.
So here's the bottom line. Even with Kroll's amazing method, making titanium is just plain hard. It's a series of really complex, energy-hungry steps. It's a batch process, not a continuous production line like you have with steel. This fundamental difficulty is why titanium has always been, and still is, a premium, expensive material.
You see, Kroll's process didn't just create a new metal. It unlocked a whole new era of technology. It took titanium from being just a curiosity in a lab to a modern marvel that really defines the world we live in.
And the impact was immediate.
In the 1950s, the US government was desperate for high-performance materials for its Cold War jets, and they essentially willed the industry into existence. That kicked off the jet age. From there, its biocompatibility revolutionized medicine, its incredible resistance to corrosion totally changed chemical plants, and today you can find it in everything from championship golf clubs to laptops.
This chart gives us a really clear picture of the cost. The raw ore itself, that's just a tiny sliver of the final price. The two biggest chunks of the cost come from that complex magnesium step to create the sponge, and then the incredibly difficult process of machining and shaping the final parts from this ultra-strong metal.
From black sand to the backbone of the Blackbird, the story of titanium is really a story about human persistence. It was the wonder metal that made the impossible possible in the 20th century. Which, it kind of leaves us with a final thought, right? What material, maybe one that's hidden in plain sight today, just like titanium once was, is going to do the same for the 21st century?
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more How Meets History.